We got some more TVP action here in Cosmonarchy. It's going to be DeadInfested versus Toyota Miguel Part 2. Starting off on Demilune, a port of Overwatch by Jujic. We've got Toyota Miguel as the... I think... I was thrown off last time. I won't be thrown off this time. This is... Maroon. Oh, fuck, I was thrown off. It was blood the whole time. And Darkspring Green Protoss in the bottom right is DeadInfested. Alright, so Toyota Miguel up here... throwing me off with his colors, as always, even though I tell him that I won't let him happen. He just keeps happening. Maybe he can happen to DeadInfested as well, throw him off, kind of get him split up and confused. Now, I will point out, Demilune is a map that is actually pretty rough when it comes to trying to hold a contain. Now, I usually like, when I play Protoss, I usually like to put my structures out here. It does delay them a little bit, but I do like the freedom that it gives me in the main as far as buildability goes, and gives me a little bit of presence towards the natural. I can sort of start walling this choke off pretty early on so that I can then move in and get some good damage dealt when it comes to, assuming I'm holding any sort of early aggression. And, Toyota hasn't really leaned towards that so far, with I guess the exception of the first game where he tried to walk out with 5 Mavericks and didn't really focus down the Draconin too well. And then obviously died at reinforcements. You guys remember that. You can go back and watch the first part if you didn't. But that's the cliff notes of that very, very first game. And Toyota has internet issues always. So even in 1v1. So it's usually a good idea to go to double brain cells, which is what DBC stands for. It's almost like DBZ, but it's more powerful, actually. So the Stockade is going to go ahead and get finished up here. The Fulcrum, on the other hand, about halfway done. The Scribe going to begin that harassment. I do like putting the worker down here on the bottom because it blocks your, half of the time that it's moving around over here. The worker is not going to be able to really move around there. So that's actually pretty cool. Now, all of the damage dealt to this Maverick means that it is going to be within 2 shots of a Draconin. And that is about to finish here for DeadInfested as the second gate comes online. So remember we talked about that as well in the first part, is that when you put down at least 1 hit from the Scribe, we'll put it into 45 health, and then that's 3 hits from the Draconin. And so, yeah, every 15 HP is another breakpoint for that. So we're going to go up to about 4 Mavericks before this 1 Draconin gets across, and the Vulture will probably be done shortly thereafter. One of the things you can do, by the way, if you're going to go open up Fulcrum first, is you can actually put your Fulcrum right underneath your Ministry if you want to replicate that little hiding from the worker harassment trick, but I think most people would rather just kind of do the worker dance and just get you their first unit out a little bit faster. So I don't know what Toyota has decided to do here. That sounds like it almost looks like he tried to lay the mine on the enemy unit, but that does not work. That's not how that works at all. He does end up getting a stem off here to see if he can heckle this Draconin, and the Draconin will have to burn out the slow. If we get another stim, we could maybe see him hunt that down, but he doesn't want to repeat mistakes on the first time they duked it out on Muspelheim. And Ministry coming on down now. Meanwhile, one of the Mavericks is going to be picked off. So yeah, when you hit a lobotomy mine like this, that's getting away from DeadInfested there. That's not exactly what you want. You get stunned for 3 seconds and then slowed for 3 seconds. That mine is not going to survive. The slow kicks in afterwards, right? So basically, at that point, DeadInfested decided to just stand and fight instead of trying to do anything else. He's kind of playing with fire. I mean, when you deliberately provoke the mines, it's not a terrible idea if you have more units than your opponent, but looks like we're going to see DeadInfested arc for an expansion here. Another Fulcrum being put on down, and we've got the Palladium up. So I think at this point, DeadInfested, he definitely can't storm the gate like this, but I do think that at this point, what we want to see from Toyota Miguel is just to try to hold off in this situation. He doesn't need to go across the map. His opponent has delayed the expansion for a decent amount of time now. And, it's just a straight-up 2-gate opener, which is what DeadInfested has been using to get up to some early game shenanigan advantage. I would love to see some Hurricanes being added in here. But, when the Palladium comes down, that does mean that you're on only bio units for a while, right? So there were some Vultures. You could have maybe laid more mines. I actually don't mind holding on to the mines for a little bit longer. I know that, like, Top Ramen, Aoud, trying to think of the other Terran players that I've played recently. A lot of them who obviously are going to be leaning more towards Vultures, leaning more towards mech. I'm thinking a Shopkeeper Dog as well. They like to get rid of the mines as soon as possible. And, I understand that to some degree. You don't want to... you don't want this kind of thing to happen to you. But you definitely don't want to, lose the Vulture when it still has a bunch of mines in there, right? That's obviously not a good idea. Now, this trade has been absolutely disastrous for Toyota. He has lost so many Mavericks that could have actually been used as part of a push. But despite that, he is going to go ahead and land his Ministry there. And I think as a result of that, we should see him get ahead in terms of the economy. He's fighting away from his phalanx and leaving his phalanx dangerously exposed. So, you know, just going from bad to worse when it comes to that military advantage. Is he just going to end up capitulating as a result of this? He's trying to mass repair the phalanx, but he's not even close to being able to do that. He's got some idle infantry up there, is making another phalanx and a vulture that's not on the rally. Anchor going to be restarted. DeadInfested returns to get a little bit of shields, and then he's going to go ahead and pick off the few infantry units there. The Anchor will not finish. Mine going to be put on down. Where's that phalanx? It's not rallied down. Okay, a couple of really obvious things Toyota can try to do to focus up and improve his play would definitely be to just straight up rally his units out of the new production structures. He also needs to just make sure his units aren't chasing DeadInfested out. Like, DeadInfested lost a Dracoden or two, you know, taking inopportune trades or allowing his units to kind of wander upwards. I don't think that that's really something that hurts Protoss as much, because they just have more durable units and they have less units. So if one unit goes down, okay, well, actually that might matter a little bit more, but, you know, they can continue to produce, while here, meanwhile, Toyota is having a bit of a difficult time just holding, right? So he has the phalanx on the high ground. It looks like with the units inside the Anchor, that will dissuade DeadInfested from charging forward with those Draconans. I also think DeadInfested probably wants to incorporate Zealots a little bit faster. You can see him going for double Ardent. He's going to be going towards that Architect play, it looks like, once again. But overall, I would say that I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, you know, based on what I'm seeing, I'd love to see some more Zealots here. I think you can actually bust this position really easily if you have, say, 3 less Draconans, but 3 to 4 Zealots. I know that might sound like a bold claim, but it's definitely feasible. I mean, you can just look at Hit 'em Up games. Oh, wait, you can't because he doesn't post the replays. But if he did post the replays, you could look at Hit 'em Up's games and be like, ha, oh my god, Mass Gateway with a Crucible. Insanity. Now you are going to see Toyota walk out here with his phalanxes and his anchors, trying to float out to get a bit more of a defensive position. You can see this kind of trade is not ideal here for DeadInfested. He does pick 2 phalanxes, but he's lost 4 Draconans for it. I think that kind of ratio is okay. That being said, there is only, you know, we're losing out on the Fulcrum Palladium count, right? Like, we don't have that many Palladiums here. It is going to be just straight up Blackjacks. And we actually do have the Vestry, but we're not seeing any healing units being made just yet. I wonder what Toyota is up to, because sometimes I play against him, like, very infrequently. I had a game against him on Near Impact, and I kind of just kept waypointing, like, Amaranths and Dracodons and stuff into his base. I'm sure he doesn't remember that, because that probably describes a lot of his games. Oh, that's a different melee unit that's killing me, but otherwise, this looks like all of my other TVPs. But overall, I would say, looking at this situation, I wonder what he's doing with the anchors. Like, they are kind of supposed to be these, I guess, linchpins of his defense, and he's maybe trying to push out. If you put Blackjacks in them, they obviously don't take damage, and thus they keep their full durability. But it looks like he's actually setting up for a Blackjack drop, which I actually don't mind. I think their DPS is really high, as long as they obviously stay high HP. So this Trojan is going to go ahead and leave. There is a single Warden in here, but 4 Blackjacks can comfortably dispense with that. And also, there's only the 1 pylon. The only question is, will DeadInfested see that something's up? I feel like this is something that it's really hard to intuit. When you're scouting your opponent's military and you see that they don't really have that much stuff, like, are you expecting, especially at this level of play, are you expecting maybe they're just floating a lot of money? Maybe they're, you know, they have trained units, but they're further back and you can't see because you have no witness, right? There's no embassy out here. And so there's no opportunity for you to just scout them. You know, there's a couple of things like that. And so it's hard to intuit when they're missing 4 Blackjacks, for example, right? So yeah, Anseal is out. There was no high nor tail of any sort of like star pad or opening move there. And so you can see here, this Warden is going to go ahead and get chewed up if Toyota actually right-clicks it. No, instead he's going to try to actually pick the workers, but there's no other damage being dealt here, and he's... Okay, he does successfully get that 1 Blackjack out. I was going to say, he kills 3 workers. I mean, he denies a little bit of mining time. He does scout that there's an aquifer up, so that should definitely tell him a thing or two about the expecting some kind of tech switch or more tech lean when it comes to the power that is about to be descending upon him. And there are 2 architects here, but this is a doable force. I mean, the Draconans are not going to be able to stay alive for too much longer. Unfortunately for Toyota, he is just going to... His Anseal wasn't in position quickly enough. He's going to end up losing the anchor over there, and, you know, it kind of body blocks some of the Draconans, which is kind of funny. The Vulture not going to lay any mines, unfortunately. That would have been maybe a cheeky move to do. Very slowed combat drop, right? Drakidins are being softened up a lot by the Phalanxes, but now we have a couple of Zealots walking across the bridge, drawing some of the fire. The target fire needs to be way better. We've had multiple volleys of Phalanxes that have hit like one Drakidin instead of being split up. But look at the performance of the Blackjacks, just shredding these Drakidins. That being said, the Architects have arrived in some number, and so even though you've wiped out pretty much all except for one Drakidin, it is still squeaky bum time for the Terran player. He needs to try to use his Ant Seal to block. He needs to get more than one Ant Seal up, in fact. And so now, okay, now we're in a situation where it's just straight up Architect. You can deal with this. You can right-click some Hurricanes, right-click some Vultures, that sort of thing. Although those are things that apparently Mr. Miguel is not fielding right now. He does have his third Ministry lifted off, his Atlas more than halfway complete, adding some more production, going heavy into mech with some Clerics and Shamans to boot. And it's going to be 5-gate Drak with additional Ardents. Those are going to be the 2 units that DeadInfested wants to field here. I don't think that the army is that strong without some kind of melee chaff. I feel like the Drakidins get splattered, and the Drakidins are not that far away from the Architects in most of these fights. Therefore, the Architects are definitely going to take some damage. So far, we only have one that's dropped below half HP. Obviously, the 50 shields are pretty nominal, but still absorb a little bit there. And overall, I would say that the Architects are kind of sitting ducks if they get caught out, but does the Terran Arsenal have what it takes to actually get into that action and try to fight them? I'm not so sure. We do have an Argosy coming that's going to be heavy air for the Protoss player. I would love to see a Crucible like right to the left of this Ardent. It would speed up the Argosy, the 2 Ardents, maybe some of the gateways as well. The range is pretty generous. Another drop going to be leaving the sort of home nest here, and it looks like there is going to be an anti-drop pylon play, so I do like that from DeadInfested. Maybe thinking about that a little bit here. Now, the very paltry force that Toyota Miguel has is not going to be able to stand to this position. The worker count has been much better for the Terran player this game. He has kept it alive, but he just doesn't have enough Palladiums, I feel like. He's adding more now, but I do think he needed to add more a little bit sooner. His tier 2 is up, but it's going to be a while before those mantles come online. I'm suspecting he wants to go Cataphracts. This is pre-Cataphract changes as well, but this Ministry will be forced to cancel out and lift off. The Drakidins won't be able to do critical damage to it just now. Would love to see him get a little bit more in terms of the Phalanx count. He's actually making Durandals. I don't hate this. You try to run down the Architects. They are pretty durable, and they move fast enough that I think Ant Seals would be able to keep up with them. So you basically have like Ant Seal Durandal hit squads running out to, use the Ant Seal shields and then try to hit the Architects before, absorb that first volley and then get on top of them, right? This is the problem with not having any melee units with your squad. There is like 5 Zealots or whatever in that little selection there, but the key looks like it's going to be a Solarian transition here. It's only got 1 Argosy, though. No Crucible yet. And, hey, look, there's a drop here. Let me just put a Warden down underneath it. What's he going to do about that? I don't think has he even noticed? What's going on over here? A couple shots exchanged by these Architects. Unfortunately for the Terran Arsenal, their Ant Seal count is too low, I think, to get too much damage dealt. You can see the Hurricanes body blocking the Durandals. They're supposed to work together. Not quite going to be the case. And now we do have, indeed, an unload. It doesn't look to me like this is going to get too much damage done. If he had actually targeted the Scribes, he would have gotten, what, 3 shots off? Yeah, that would have been really brutal. And I guess if he had left it outside of the Warden range, then the Drakidins, if they were not microed, would have been really hit hard as well. Need to see more Phalanxes, especially on the high ground over here. Toyota could really do a lot of shellacking onto this, but as of right now, he has no front line. His Durandals and Hurricanes have died. He has no healing either, and so it looks like this might actually just be the moment where it all crumbles down. Our Terran player broken after not being able to really convert a lot of that spending. Hard matchup. He's not a fan of the Protoss. He's not a fan. But this is obviously, again, this is like before a lot of the gateway time cost adjustments and of course the Architect changes. So the matchup is actually easier now by a couple of margins. So I look forward to seeing what Toyota can do in that realm when the tournament actually kicks off. But he will not be showing us too much in this game. It looks like we're going to have a 3-0 start here. And that last game, is that redemption for Toyota? I thought maybe he was going to get some really epic drops off or something. Was not the case. He's kind of scouting around with the Ant Seal, sees the third base up and running, just seeing how far behind he really was without having to check the replay. The Solarian comes out and starts targeting his Atlas. Insult to injury. Terran players have nightmares about the Solarian, dude. You can actually click on detected structures to see what they're up to, so he could click on the Argosy and see that a Solarian was about to pop out. We did not get to see a second one arrive, but that's okay. I do look forward to the day where we like go in and really heavily update the audio visuals of the game so that like when a unit warps in, they actually have some kind of fancy warp overlay or something. And so you actually end up seeing the Solarian like emerge or whatever. That would be really epic. But we're not there yet. Maybe we'll be there at some point, maybe sooner than you think. You never know, but probably not for the tournament. Let's be real. Although I will say, I was talking about how we lock ourselves in balance patch wise for, when it comes to stuff like that, for Acropolis 2 in terms of the balance state, the patch changes. We're not going to be changing balance at any point. However, I will admit, if we get audio-visual stuff done, we're absolutely putting that shit in there. So anyway, GG, boys. We're going to go on to the final game of the series. What do you guys say we let DeadInfested take a break at the beginning of the game? JK. He is, this is not Dark Spring Green. This is, oh man, what is this? Is this Midnight Green? Forest Green. Okay, I will try to remember that that's a very dark color. Anyway, we've got the Forest Green Protoss in the top left. That's DeadInfested. And Toyota Miguel in the bottom right. Actually, I think isn't this the first time that we've had these kinds of spawns? Obviously, Muspelheim was bottom left, top right. And then in the last map, we had top left, top left, bottom right. So yeah, okay, Toyota's going to be playing from the below times, the below areas, going back to Muspelheim for that. Anyway, this is Near Impact, another map by Jujic. It's a Jujic-themed castover for the maps today, and it'll be a Jujic-themed castover tomorrow for a different reason. Wink. Oh my god, did he spoil it? Toyota Miguel, by the way, I believe is... There's Vivid Orange and Electric Orange, but I think maybe Electric Orange is a fraud and not a color, and that's just what we call Vivid Orange, so I'm going to guess Vivid Orange. Oh, it was Pumpkin. Oh, I've been had. I have not successfully guessed a Toyota Miguel color at all this whole series. And, of course, just to get below 50% in the castover color guessing series for this whole series, I have been incapable of guessing Forest Green. I really thought this was like Midnight Green or something, but I guess not. I was a fraud. Frauded. Double gate opener here for DeadInfested gets scouted very bright and early here by Toyota Miguel, so I would love to see what ends up happening as a result of this early information. He's actually, it feels like his Fulcrum is a little bit late here compared to some of the other games. You can see him taking a very roundabout path to doing that. I'm going to go ahead and stim the Maverick. That does obviously bring it within damage for the triple. It basically kill. It means that your Dracodon will 3-shot it. You can repair biological units in Cosmonarchy, though. It's like welding the suit or whatever. Wink. Whatever. Make up your own reason. Post in the comments, what would justify to you, what lore justification would you have for Masons being able to repair Mavericks? Just to let me know. I think welding the suit makes a lot of sense. I also think maybe they just happen to also be equipped with medical supplies. You never know. Or maybe the suit itself does, so as soon as you repair the suit heals the man. Never know, man. You never know. Anyway, that aside, we do have the 4 Mavericks out at a similar timing as before. The Fulcrum now complete. Dracodon moving across the map. And so, yeah, I think we'll see the... instant Palladium. Okay, I like this adjustment. He hasn't actually needed the Vultures to get anything done. I think if he was better with the Micro, Toyota could have actually pushed out with the Vulture Maverick. But if he doesn't care about pushing out that early, if it's not really that important to him, if he's going to take a delayed natural expansion, adding the Hurricanes, great choice, very much thumbs up on Ahmed, but also getting this fast Palladium into the Phalanx, such a good idea, dude. You get 2 Phalanxes out super fast, the Protosses can't hold that with Dracodon only. And look at this, DeadInfested just face tanking all that damage. If you had stimmed or even stutter stepped forward, that would be a dead Dracodon, and 10 HP on that Dracodon is so brittle. So I'd love to see the damage dealt there by Toyota without even doing anything. The game plays itself. We do have a couple of extra Dracodons over here, so we're looking at 3 of them until Toyota is going to be free. He is going to go ahead and drop his Ministry, but he does queue up a Vulture behind that, so it's going to be a single Phalanx. And look at that, he's already ready for it. He's just going to go ahead and fight. And what are you going to do about that, buddy? You got nothing. You got nothing. And there you go. Okay, cleared out the initial gateway units. Now, suddenly, DeadInfested has to fall on back and try to defend himself. He goes up and queues additional units, I think, or maybe it was just workers. Yeah, he's actually going to drop a Lattice. Okay, so this will not be a fast expansion from him. And actually, Toyota's expansion timing is pretty much the same thing. Again, we're going to go ahead and select this, hit Alt, see what the rally lines are. I gotta say, if Toyota just rallies these units across the map, that might make a pretty pivotal difference here. Toyota going to go ahead and charge forward with some Mavericks. I don't like that he's out of sync with the rest of his army, and I don't like that he doesn't fall back immediately upon seeing that. Vulture is out here. I like the Vulture for the mines, right? But, you know, as long as you fight away from the Phalanx, the Vulture's not very scary. The mines aren't very scary. The Mavericks aren't very scary. So it looks like Toyota's going to say, okay, I lost too much stuff. I'm going to head on back. Adding another Fulcrum makes a lot of sense. I don't like that his production is idle right now. He's got a lot of money that he could be using. He goes into a Phalanx, goes into a couple of Mavericks. I still think that you should transition into Harakans a lot sooner, for my liking, anyway. He's also going to have to lift that Stockade if he wants to go ahead and drop the add-on. That's why he moved the Fulcrum so far to the left. Like, he specifically wanted to leave space for the add-on. That makes a lot of sense now. I still think he could have just dropped that above his base or whatever, but you know what? You know, whatever people like. Oh, no, he's lifted off center. Oh, minerals are going to be so inefficient. All right, laying the mines. Makes a lot of sense. This is a map by Jujic, although I will point out that he didn't sign off on exactly every single aspect of it. I did do a couple of changes, like add these unbuildable terrain spokes here. I do like the little mini hills, though. You can use this for cliff advantage. That's pretty neat. All right, so we do have the sort of line drawn. I love the mines over here, although I would love one more over here so you actually have permanent vision. But, you know, again, you could just stand on this, which is exactly what we see Toyota trying to do now. Dracodon and Manifold on their way out, and a pylon down. I'm guessing the pylon is going to be for those Ardents. Now, interestingly enough, the Manifold makes sense for armor penetration, although I'm not sure it's necessary versus the comp that we see Toyota fielding, which is still bio-dependent right now. However, I do like the idea of Vassals, because you kind of force Watchdogs to be put on down. We do have the Star Pad coming up. First set of Blackjacks is on the way. We do have a idle Fulcrum right now. And Worker Advantage for Toyota. Love to see that as well. That means economic advantage. Nice little baiting him into the mine there. That's going to give him some pause. Remember, oh shit, yeah, there are mines. You know, one thing that is a little bit underrated, though, is that when you see a lot of scrapyard play with the Fulcrums into Blackjacks, one of the things you absolutely have to watch out for is the Vulture, right? It probably makes a similar sound to what you just heard in the background. But also, I mean, think about it, right? The Vulture has the mines. It gives you map control. It moves a lot faster than the Blackjack. And so you can kind of use it for run-bys and stuff. I'd love to see people trying to do that a little bit more often. Starpad is done. What's it going to be making? Anseal first. No drop play this time around, at least not yet, for Toyota. Adding another Fulcrum. Looks like he wants to continue to scale his production. He has made a goofball move and decided to trap his Phalanx, so that's really awesome. I guess in this situation, you probably just say GG, because you've kind of fucked yourself. He's going to have to remake the Vestry, which is... Actually, I don't know. I feel like remaking the Vestry is worse than remaking a Scrapyard, but it is going to interrupt your mech production, right? So I guess there is that as well. Now, he does need to watch out here because he has no vision of where the Protoss army is, and he has no mine coverage on the right side. So he's kind of baiting DeadInfested in, but DeadInfested might get some benefit from this bait. Anchor does end up falling. That's going to be 4 more Mavericks joining the fray. There we go. A Phalanx is going to go ahead and deploy in the front line, and the Vassal sacrifices are going to allow most of the Dracodons to escape relatively unscathed. A lot of them are actually bruised. He only loses 2 of them, though, and like the Manifold and, what, 3, 4 Vassals. So that's actually going to be an okay position there. He killed 2 Blackjacks, a Maverick, and an Anchor. I love that we can like look at the battlefield and see which units died specifically. That's pretty cool. Not every unit actually leaves a corpse in StarCraft 1. Look at this. Going into Gateway, something different. I was going to say that Double Ardent would probably be in the cards here, but... DeadInfested trying to experiment a little bit. I actually really think you probably should experiment a little bit if you can, because doing that sort of thing will tell you a lot about, like, okay, if this is a different looking army, maybe I need something different. And then, you know, you can also run the same thing into a different looking army. Anseal is here to scout. I don't hate using the Anseal to scout. It obviously isn't as cool as dropping your opponent and killing all of their workers, but when you see the Stargates, and you've already seen the Vassals, adding a couple of Watchdogs doesn't sound like a bad idea. Now, Toyota going to go ahead and charge forward. He has the Blackjacks for, like, the initial power. Ooh, narrowly avoids... narrowly doesn't get away with all of the Blackjacks. Anseal getting hit up a little bit there. Remember, the Shaman will heal those air units as well. Clerics cannot do the same thing. I still feel like his Phalanx count should be higher, especially if he was going up against Architects. Forget about it. In this situation, not going Architects might actually not be the right move. Gonna try to snipe that Shaman. Is that gonna be a bait, though? The Phalanxes have deployed at least half of them. So he trades the Shaman for 2 Dracodons and a lot more damage on a bunch more. DeadInfested has pulled the trigger, and I feel like this is a huge mistake on his part. You can't be going to try to fight this army. You're not gonna be able to burst it down. The Cleric's actually not healing the Phalanx is a little bit unfortunate, because he definitely didn't need to lose that that third Phalanx, or I guess he lost 2 Phalanxes, he only needed to really lose 1 there. But despite that, I still think that Toyota can push forward here and do some good damage. He's actually going to move up and cancel the 3rd base, which is good, because he's actually on a 2-base position right now, Toyota, so, you know, this is definitely going to help him out a little bit. What's he going to be doing behind this? He's got so much money. I would love to see him add like 5 more stockades, just pump Huracan. But despite that, we are going to see him kind of moving forward here. His Phalanxes are far away, and his Ant-Seals are going to get chewed up here if he's not careful. The Trojan is out. It doesn't have anything in it just yet, but of course DeadInfested doesn't know that. And no Shaman means no easy heal for the Ant-Seal, and there's actually only 1 Ant-Seal. So, okay, Blackjacks are going to be the elevated up here. You know what? An elevator strat right now would be really sick. Where's he going? Why is he going there? What's he doing? What have you done that for, dude? That's not where you go. Anyway, it would be really sick to just see him like start elevatoring up into this big, expansive main base, and suddenly there's 8 Blackjacks here killing your pylon, forcing you to respond with your air units while your your natural choke is pushed. But it looks like instead he's going to try to do the old alley-oop and attack the natural at the same time as maybe pushing into the natural. Or, DeadInfested will maybe jump into him. Going to be a couple of dead vassals. Here comes the drop. I don't think it's going to be very effective again, but, you might get a Dracodon. Now, he might get a worker. No, he doesn't. But he does, I guess, put his opponent into a more dedicated position here. I still don't really think you want to fight this position without the Phalanxes. I think that was a huge mistake from Toyota. But despite that, and despite his ridiculous bank, he's adding multiple ministries to try to spend down his money. I'm not so sure that that's the right move, but, We are going to see an Argosy coming out as the follow-up. Maybe a Didact could be in order to try to free some of these units. Man, the Blackjacks are just powering through, churning through all of these vassals. And now they're going to start to fall a little bit, courtesy of the Zealots. I love the anti-Dracodon target fire on the Phalanx over here. I think that's what's happened there. At the very least, it automatically acquired a Dracodon target, and that was a juicy one. Argosy now complete. What's it going to make? An Empyrean. Splash damage, not a bad shout. Also engages from some range, so you can use that versus the Blackjacks. Try to pepper him down. Obviously, the Shaman will help restore that. More and more Blackjacks being made. Goliath, Phalanx, some Vultures idling over here, another Fulcrum being added. Yeah, the rally points, again, something that I've stressed. I definitely think that kind of thing would help. Ooh, okay, he's going Wraith as well as a bit of a follow-up. This feels very committed for Tier 1, despite the fact that he's got 1,500 Vespene. My man... Oh, you've landed it off center again. Something that when I watch Starcraft 1 streamers, I constantly see is that the placement box is actually off center of the mouse cursor, and that's something that I cannot thank Vika enough for fixing, dude. That is so annoying now that I see it all the time when I play, when I'm watching Starcraft 1. I don't play Starcraft 1 anymore. Who would do that when you got Cosmonarchy? The battles are continuing, but the Blackjacks are just churning through these Gladiuses. They can't stay alive long enough to actually spread out all of the damage, and the focus fire from the Zealots and the Dracodons was not on the sustain. So the Shamans end up staying alive that whole damn time, except for one of them. I think one of them did end up dying. There goes the first Gladius, and Empyrean is out. You got to start focusing down some of this anti-air, I feel like. Empyrean now revealed it to itself. The gas workers in this natural are going to get completely shellacked. And I feel like DeadInfested losing this natural is the nail in the coffin. It was already looking a little bit rough. But, if you clear the Terran army, you can still be kind of threatening while you set up the rest of your bases. Like, he can extend play here, but I still think he is so far behind. He's lost his 3rd base. He lost a lot of workers in the natural. And so he's going to go ahead and push his opponent back. We do have some Wraiths coming in. Looks like Top Ramen left because of lag, presumably. Again, Toyota's not ideal when it comes to Toyota's internet. And he's now using it to defeat DeadInfested. Or is he? I mean, the tide is turning. Dracodon's coming on in. Gladius churning through some of these units. Not the greatest composition to fight this heavy air force is just the pure Blackjack. Love to see some Madrigals, but it's just so far not actually happening. Tier 2 has finally been invested in. But is it too late? DeadInfested desperately trying to hold on to his flawless run versus Toyota. Toyota, meanwhile, desperately trying to not die for a 4th time in a row. Will he be able to do it? Vultures kind of sharking around. Would love to see them in the enemy base. It looks like the Vultures are going to come in and clean house when it comes to the Dracodons. Blackjacks, Wraiths, Goliaths, a weird smorgasbord of anti-air, more Empyreans coming on out, as well as an Exemplar. I still really think these Vultures should not be over here, man. They should be charging in to the enemy force, into the enemy base, and just starting to clean house in terms of the resources. That you made so many Vultures instead of Blackjacks, and your primary threat is it's the air. It's the Air Force. So, all right. 5 Goliaths at a time being made. Atlas nearly complete. Hey, Goliaths is something that got slightly buffed very recently. They got a time cost reduction by like 2 seconds. It adds up, dude. You only need to make like 30 Goliaths to get 1 Goliath for free time cost. No, it's not that many, but it's still pretty funny. Anyway, Goliaths are going to go ahead and start chewing through this position. I don't think that DeadInfested had the economy to actually use his gateways for very long, but now that the Goliaths have been switched into, that Empyrean is as good as dead, and it looks like that will be it. No GG. DeadInfested is a Protoss player, so when he loses, it must be because of the game and not because of him. Also, I think this game was really laggy. That's what I remember reading anyway. So, brain broken by lag, but that's okay, because Toyota Miguel is indeed still alive, still intact. And it's really funny. It's really funny stuff, dude. I can't believe that he got on the board after all that. What a journey to get there. At least in part because architects were not taken as the option. But I also think there's a lot of really interesting stuff that happened in that game that we don't normally see, right? Like the early push with the Phalanx first, like the Fulcrum into Palladium, like completely naked, no vultures, just holding with bio in the early game using that ramp. I think that's actually a really cool idea. We should see more of that going forward by some of those top players. If you're watching out there, top players like Top Ramen, for example, I think maybe that's a build worth exploring, but maybe you guys have already done it and I'm out of touch. GG boys, we'll be going on to an interesting set of games going forward in the next round. I hope you guys will join us for the next cast. New ones every day, except for 1 day a week where I do my podcast instead. Stay subscribed, tune in, check out the tournament, which the games of which are going to be being played over the weekend. I don't know how soon I'll cast some of those, but the qualifier will be kicking off then. So it's a very exciting time to be a Cosmonarch. Bye.